View teleprompter, create videos you're proud of. Easily trim your video by selecting the words where you want to start and end. Color your presentation with automatic subtitles and highlighting keywords. Add your brand logo. Add music for an emotional touch. Add your contact info on an animated business card on all your videos. Easily replace green screen with an image or a video loop. Stand out with a web page with your logo, your video at the center, and personalized button for visitors to interact. It's one tap to simultaneously upload your videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Always know what to say next with the Big View teleprompter.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Big View educational session. I'm your host, Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me. Oh yeah, let's have some little fun today. My gosh, here's my question for you. Are you ready to awaken your inner video superhero? Well, today, that is just what we're gonna do. That's just what we're gonna talk about, helping you to awaken your inner video superhero so that you can make your content truly shine. And we're gonna have an expert to do that with you today. So do me a favor, if you are here from Antarctica, go ahead and start putting that in the chat. I wanna reach out to some of you. I wanna see who's here so we can say, hey, hi, hello to everybody. Let's see who we have in the space today. We're gonna acknowledge you in just a second. Here's what I'd like for you to do. If you've got questions as we walk through our session today, make sure that you type the letter Q and then type your question after that so that we can acknowledge you and make everything go fantastic. Our guest today is gonna be phenomenal. I'll introduce her in just a moment, but I want to let you know that she's going to be doing a giveaway today, a complimentary gift to help you identify your strengths through comparison. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on, but let me introduce our guest. I want to get her up on screen here so we can chat for a little bit before we jump into or dive into the presentation today. So our guest, Dr. Catherine Wiberg, is the host of the Engaged Company Culture podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite audio platforms, including Apple Music, Google Play, and Amazon. She's a published author. She's contributed to the book New Female Leader, and she's the author of an upcoming book on appreciative intelligence. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what that is. I guess I'll have to find out a little bit. I've heard of emotional intelligence, but appreciative intelligence, how smart I am at saying I appreciate you, I don't know. We'll talk about that. All right. Dr. Catherine is the founder and CEO of Profitable Alignment, and she is spearheading a movement to help people everywhere enjoy their work. Wouldn't you love to enjoy your work? So let's jump on in. Raj Singh from Canada, how you doing? Good to see you today. So glad that y'all are here. And let's bring on up our guest for today, Dr. Catherine. How are you doing?
I am having a wonderful day today, Robert. Thank you so much for being here. I love your enthusiasm and energy.
Listen, I love your orange. I'm looking at your background, and of course, you can tell I'm a fan of orange a little bit. So you're
Yes, I saw that. I love it. I like that we coordinated without even talking about it first. It's pretty amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I'm so excited that you're here, but I've got to ask you about this term, first of all, before we even dive into the giveaways or anything else. What the heck is appreciative intelligence?
I have to say, I love that you mentioned emotional intelligence, because appreciative intelligence and emotional intelligence both came into being right about the same time in the 1980s. Yet it seems everybody knows emotional intelligence and nobody knows appreciative intelligence. And it's more than just saying, I appreciate you, more than being grateful. It actually works in conjunction with emotional intelligence. Appreciative intelligence is based on appreciative inquiry. It is leaning into your strengths, recognizing your strengths, and then as you use your strengths and your team's strengths, everything that you do becomes complementary, and it appreciates the value of everything that you do. So from what appears to be small, you get the huge.
I love it. I love it. So I'm getting the sense of a real estate purchase where the value appreciates based on me adding some stuff to
Exactly.
that house. I love it. I love it.
Exactly. And the fun
Excellent.
thing is that with appreciative intelligence, you already have the stuff. You don't
Hmm.
have to add it, you just have to position it differently. So
Yeah.
you look at how do you stage the house, and it's how
Yeah.
do you stage the strengths and the team.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's amazing because it's already there. If it isn't, you learn how to find it, how to
Yeah.
bring it in.
So let's try to make our connection here. So how, I mean, we're here to talk about video today, and we're coming in with this term appreciative intelligence. How on earth are we going to make that leap? How do we make that connection between appreciative intelligence and video, becoming a video rock star?
This is where comparison becomes an empowerment tool. I'd like to
Mm,
start with my slides and show you how you truly can use appreciative intelligence to create empowering comparisons. Because
yeah.
really, we have a habit as people of comparing. It's kind of what we do. Comparisons are really easy. Now, I'm sharing with you pieces of video that I have done over the years, and you're going to see how easy it is to make comparisons. So looking at the background on this one, not only was I a heavier set person at the time, but also my background was just a basic white wall. With time, you can see again, we have comparison. Is it a different background? Do you have the black box? It's so easy to look at these and say, oh, how awful. And okay, that's an improvement. And then looking at yet another one, are you using slides? Are you not using slides? Do you have the black box? Do you not have the black box? And it comes down to finding. Here I did some presentations standing, and still it's not perfect. There's still some shadow, and then you have improvement over time where I have me side by side with my slides. Comparison, it happens all of the time. Are we going to allow them to knock us down and to stop us from what we're doing? Are we going to look at them and say, oh my gracious, I can't believe that I did a video like this? It should never have been
Mm,
out there. Or are we going to look at it and say, you know, done is better than perfect?
wow.
And it really comes down to recognizing who you are. Now, here, this is all about me. So why should I be talking about video? I talk about appreciative intelligence. It all applies. Looking at your strengths applies everywhere. So I, as people can tell, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business coach. I'm an individual empowerment coach. I have a doctor of management in organizational development and change. I love building teams. And as you can see from all those different video clips, I've been my own videographer, producer, editor. As you also can see, I'm a lifelong learner because there's been improvement. This is where it gets exciting because you can look at who are you. So what's exciting is that I've created this framework that's based on appreciative intelligence, all about comparison. And if it's okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the reframe, rewrite, redesign. Is that okay?
Let's do it. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Now, reframe is a word that you'll hear often in psychological circles, but it's starting to come around in business circles also. The way I like to describe it is consider a picture in a picture frame. In this particular picture, it's in a black frame. You can see all of the dark, deep hues. You recognize all of the trees. If you take the exact same picture and put it into a white picture frame, it looks different. It's the same picture, but now you're noticing all of the white. You're noticing the clouds, you're noticing the snow, you're noticing the lighter hues instead of the darker hues. But it's the same picture.
Right.
So when we look at the way that we habitually compare ourselves to others, one of the things that we often will do is say, oh, I'm not as good as Robert because I don't have this spiffy, fantastic setup that he has. I don't have the soundboard. I don't have the orange microphone. I'm just not as good. And when we do that, we beat ourselves up. It's like an ugly stick, and we're just beating ourselves and beating ourselves. But when we look at what else we can do, we can reframe it and look at it differently. I'd like to pull my slides up again, if I may. And I invite everybody who is viewing right now, and Robert, I'd love it if you'd participate. This is a reframe exercise on video content. So consider first, whose video content do you admire and why? Robert,
Wow.
is there somebody you like? Mm-hmm.
There are so many people that I love. I think one of the favorite people is this. She's a Jamaican comedian. Her name is Julie Mango, and she's on Instagram. I love her video content.
Awesome. So what do you like about her content? Is it the content itself? Is it her backdrop? Is it the way she presents? What specifically do you like?
It's the content. I mean, she's hilarious, number one, and so I laugh. And I think because I was originally born on the island of Jamaica, and so I
Ooh,
have Jamaican roots, Jamaican family, so it kind of is a connection or reconnection to my roots as well. And so it's the laughter, it's how she does it. I wonder about, my gosh, what's going on in that mind of hers that allows her to think about or view life or view any topic in this way that is hilarious and comedic.
oh, I absolutely love it. Thank you. I love that connection. I love in fact, one of my dearest friends whom I met when I was 15
Mhm.
also was born and reared in Jamaica. So that's an additional fun connection that just came out of
Love it.
nowhere. And when you look at her, you've already identified a similarity that you have. You like to
Mhm.
laugh. You were both born in Jamaica, so you have that throwback. What other similarities do you have to her, perhaps in your approach to life or in video making?
Well, I think one of the things that is funny, not just that she makes me laugh, but she does these things. She plays these different characters. So
Ah,
sometimes she might play like a male character, and she'll use a marker and do a mustache and beard, and she does all sorts of crazy stuff on her face, and it's hilarious. She wears wigs and just these different things. So I like the variety of her video content, and so in my video content, and as you talk about comparison, one of the things that I sometimes say to myself is, man, I should be able to create some variety or do some different things. I do a lot of talking head videos, and
mhm.
so I start thinking about putting on hats or maybe creating different characters or wearing a wig, or what should I be doing? So,
I love it. When we compare ourselves to others with the perspective of what can I do better instead of what
yeah.
am I doing wrong, we are reframing that comparison.
Mhm.
We build on the similarities, we build on what we like about them, and what can be fun is to look at maybe where did they start?
Yeah.
When the people you admire, if you were to look back at their old videos, like mine when I was heavier and was just using my white wall,
Yeah.
compared to now when I've had a professional help me to choose the great color of backdrop that I have so that I show up with $1 million look on camera because of Tessa Gray of my $1 million look. And it's because of her, but I had to move along the way. So maybe the person you admire right now had to move along the way also. So it can give you some hope.
Yep.
Also, you can lean into your strengths. Tom Rath stated, he defined a strength as a talent into which you put effort. So if you look at yourself when you were a child, probably people put labels on you. When I was a child, the most commonly used label was chatterbox. I could and would talk to anybody, and I would talk and I would talk and I would talk. Well, at the time, that did not feel like a compliment. Now, I've learned how to use the chatter to communicate with you, communicate with others, create presentations, build rapport. I was able to reframe chatterbox into speaker, reframe chatterbox into interviewer. I do a podcast, Engaged Company Culture, on which I primarily interview people.
Yeah.
So I've learned to listen. It doesn't always sound that way. Like right now, I'm talking away, but I have learned to listen. Excuse me. And it's that opportunity to really lean in to who you are, to what you like, to are you going to draw on yourself, or are you going to create graphics? Are you going to create slides? Are you going to use graphics at all? Are you going to animate and voiceover? So many opportunities.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to tell people is there's no such thing as just. Again, this is a comparison becoming an empowerment tool. Have you ever looked at yourself and thought, I am just, and fill in the blank? For example, in my early videos, I was just somebody working from home.
Wow.
And you see how that can really hurt. That can just drag you down. There's no such thing as just. I was working from home. Recognize the difference there. I was not just working from home. I was working from home. I was working with what I had. As I learned better, I got better. That's the same thing for everybody who's making video. As you learn better, you do better, and done is better than perfect, because perfection comes with practice. But you always, always, always are you on purpose. It's your story, your strengths, your style, your solution. The video that you bring, even if it's content that other people share, because it's you, it's different. Because it's your story, it's different. Because of your approach, it's different. You're not just a coach, just an author, just a receptionist, just a student. There's no just. And as you look at others, another video YouTuber that I like is the Charismatic Voice. And I've looked back at her early response videos and her recent response videos, and nothing has stood in her way. I just love the difference and yet the improvement. But she was confident. She stood up and she said, this is who I am. This is my background. This is what I bring to you. And people listened. Now, We have many, many purposes for video. Our main purpose is to bring our authentic selves and our authentic message to the masses. So your own authentic artistic expression, your content, and again, being true to yourself. This also, when you create videos, it can be practice for larger presentations in front of groups of live people that are in the same room with you. Now, with Big View, we have this opportunity of being in front of however many people are signed in. It could be 10, it could be hundreds, it could be thousands. Because this streams on so many different platforms, it could be millions on YouTube. And yet there's a difference in doing the video and getting comfortable with your camera, getting comfortable with your audience. And that brings you practice if you ever go to an in-person audience where you're all in the same room. Gives you the transition. It gives you the opportunity to see how are people reacting.
Right.
And again, you get to lean into your strengths. What makes you you? And as I showed on mine, always learning. What else can we learn to use? Can I use Big View with the transcript, with the teleprompter, with the subtitles, with the editing? Wow, I didn't know about Big View 2 years ago when I started doing my videos. How handy that could have been when I was doing lives and I was sputtering instead of having a teleprompter. But now you can use the Big View teleprompter and connect with your audience through your camera. Wow, it's already there. As we learn more, we do more. And some people use video for teaching. Some people use it to generate leads for their businesses. Maybe just to make connections with people. So many things that we can do with it. And again, recognizing that you have something in common with the people you admire. Find the commonalities so that you can compare yourself to that person and either say, oh my goodness, I'm already doing this well. Look at this. I already do this well that this person whom I admire does well. Or say, I like how Robert handles his background. I want to do that. Maybe I can talk to Robert and learn more. Maybe that orange microphone is going to give me better sound. Maybe I can talk to him about it. Exactly. Exactly. So it gives us the opportunity. And then as we go along, we can find how we can help other people. So use your strengths when you're creating video. When are you at your best? Are you a natural morning person? Do you have to have an in-person audience with you? Do you do better if you're by yourself? When are you going to be at your best and how are you going to present? I like looking at this because I discovered early on that if I present a video by myself in a room to a camera, I sound a lot more monotone, less excited. It just doesn't work as well. In fact, my son was walking past the room as I was making a video once, and he thought, I can't wait to get away from her. She is so boring. He mentioned it. It was awful. But he's a teenager. He spoke his mind. And I was grateful that he did, because I then pulled in a couple of neighbors and I said, it turns out I have to have a live audience. I can't record a video that anybody's going to be interested in if I don't have an audience. Will you listen to me? Will you be in the room with me so I can feed off your energy? They said, sure. Well, my son happened to be in the same area. And it turned out it was much more difficult for him to pull himself away. He actually told my husband, wow, mom is so different when she has people in the same room. I wanted to listen. I didn't want to step away. Wow, what greater compliment can you get than somebody who says, you were so boring, to say, you were saying the same stuff, but I wanted to listen. And it's all leaning in to what you do well. I need an audience. Other people don't. It's good. You can learn. Now, maybe you don't want to be on camera. I have a dear, wonderful friend who can create the most amazing videos, but don't put her on camera. She can do it, and she can do it well. She's presented in front of huge crowds, huge audiences. But if she's on camera, she's nervous because, oh, my gray roots are showing, or my makeup isn't perfect.
Yeah.
But if you were to put her on and let her share her screen and share her steps of what she's doing, she's phenomenal. She's amazing. And so you can create a video that doesn't even have you on camera. Now, of course, if you're going to be using Big View and you're going to want your teleprompter in your face, that's one thing. But you could even use the teleprompter and record your screen otherwise and not have your camera going, but still use the teleprompter. So are you going to use animation? Are you going to use graphics? Are you going to use music? Do you do best just talking all by yourself as a monologue? Or do you do best in an interview? Again, this friend of mine, she likes questions.
Yeah.
She wants to know, what are people thinking and how can I help? So again,
So Dr. Catherine, I think we've walked into the idea of reframing here and asking some really fantastic questions to give you some fresh angles from which to create your videos. I had noticed in your framework before that you talked about rewriting, and I think that is an area where a lot of people struggle. So you talked about using Big View as a teleprompter, and Big View has the fantastic AI script writer that allows the script to be written for you. But of course, AI is still at this space where there's still some work to be done with it. So how does how does a producer, how does a video creator, a content creator really master writing compelling scripts? Are there things that we really need to consider as we're thinking about how to compel or how to hook the reader or the viewer?
I think that part of writing compelling scripts is to realize that you of 5 years ago, or maybe even just a year ago, are your ideal audience in many cases, because you have come from someplace to someplace. So again, your story is going to matter.
Yeah.
So rewriting your own self-perception, recognizing, oh, this is who I used to be and this is what I wish I had. I can present what my audience needs because this is now what I have. This is what I know. And if you're going to go to AI, you can ask the questions, what does somebody starting out need to know to spark your memory? Oh, that's right. I didn't know 5 years ago about this and this and this. And it was so hard. Oh, but now I do. And then you get to tell the story and you're rewriting your own perception of the recognition that to be an expert does not mean you are the number one in the world. It just means that you are further ahead on your path and on the journey than the person behind you. That you can help people by recognizing and understanding what you did not know and what you know now. So even a producer can say, so what else? what else was hard? What else was easy?
Yeah. So as you think about maybe the videos that you create, what's your process like as far as writing? What's the first thing that you do when you sit down, and what do you do next? How do you mentally conceptualize and come up with what you were going to say to your viewers?
My main focus is to help everybody realize that their strengths matter,
Mhm.
that they can step above the just. So when I sit down, especially if I feel like I'm blocked, I will go find quotes that inspire me
Mhm.
and speak to me, that remind me of a story, that remind me of somebody that I helped, remind me of somebody who helped me, or a leader that I admire. And that usually gives me something that I can spearhead on. And then I can start the video. Remember, done is better than perfect, and you can always edit. You can
Yeah.
always trim.
Yeah.
Even live can be edited later.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so helpful to hear, because a lot of people, they know that they need to be on video, and yet when they sit down in their chairs, it's so challenging for them, because they know what their audience needs, they know what the audience's challenges are, but they have trouble making it concise or putting it in a package that is
Mhm,
relatable and chewable for
mhm,
for their audience. So you just mentioned something that's really cool. So you said, okay, you go back, you think about a quote that inspired you, and you go back and you use that.
mhm.
What else? What other tips can you share with us? What you use a quote? What else do you use to inspire your writing creativity inside of a video as you begin to create or script your videos?
I love audiobooks, and so I will
Mm,
listen to audiobooks that make me think and generate stories. Video making, a lot of it is storytelling.
mhm.
Even if it's just you on the screen, you're still telling a story.
Yeah,
And journaling. Sometimes you just sit down, and I'll just sit down and I'll free write anything that comes to mind. Sometimes it
yeah,
becomes organized. Sometimes it becomes ideas. And then I can pull something out and say, oh, that's right. This is fantastic. Sometimes I'll go back to podcasts that either I've been a guest on or that I've hosted. Sometimes I'll talk to my dad who's in the next room and find out what inspires him, and get that reminder. Oh, that's right. And this is how it worked here.
yeah,
Sometimes I'll talk to clients and say, what helped you the most? And start from there and tell client stories with permission and or
yeah.
anonymity.
Yeah. 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 Those of you that are in the comments, or those of you that are watching online, do me a favor. If you've got a question, type the letter Q with your question after it. I want to make sure that we pop that up so that we can have our guest answer that question, and hang out with us, because we are going to be talking about a giveaway. Dr. Catherine's got a complimentary gift for you just a little bit later on, talking about how to identify your strengths through comparison. So let's talk about strengths for a little bit. You mentioned that you found it easier for you to do a video, or at least your son thought you were better when you had people in the room. And
Mhm.
so, was that something that you knew innately? How did you identify that your son's response to you came from nobody being in the room? How did you identify your strength?
I, for years, was terrified of the camera,
Mhm.
terrified, because I was so afraid that I would not be natural. I was so afraid that I would always picture millions of people might be watching this, like if you're going to go on a TV show. And I was always terrified. What if I fall on my face? What if I do badly? And I had grown to love public speaking in front of an audience.
Mhm.
because I would feed off of the people and because I would talk to people beforehand. Many speakers are introverts and like to just get up there, give all their energy and do the wonderful thing and then go back to where they were. I am an extrovert. I like to get in with the people, learn about them, gather some of their stories, and then share them from the stage with permission or anonymity or both. And doing that with just a camera, I felt so alone. And I was saying the same things. And I had recognized that when my son walked past and said, "Mom, you are so boring." And I was afraid of trying to present it to him because he's already heard it. And then my husband said, you know, just pull in a couple of people because I've seen you present in front of people and you're very different. So having him tell me you're very different helped, along with the knowledge that I had been afraid of cameras for so many years.
Yeah.
And then I tested it. And then I was able to see the difference. I felt the difference. I saw the difference. I said, oh, well, look at that. Yeah. I have to have at least one other person either in the room or on the video conference so that I can see there's a person there so I can get some of that energy.
Yeah. You said so many good things inside of that just now. I want to make sure that our audience got all of it. So you said you paid attention to your feeling, first of all. So that was crucial. That was important. And that feeling was one of inauthenticity. It was like, man, this is not my best space. Why does this feel off? Right. And so you started to search for that. The other good thing that you said was you had your community, you had your husband, you had people that were offering you feedback. So I think one of the things that I really want to have our audience take away right now is as you're starting this process of video or content creation, being inside of your bubble, being inside of your dungeon or your lab by yourself doesn't always yield the best results. You're not able to get the feedback. So you had some layer of transparency and vulnerability where you let people in so that you could then become better at this. And then I think the third thing that you said, and you said this earlier, but I connected it to what you just said. You mentioned your label that people gave to you when you were young. And so sometimes we live life and we lean into our traumas or we lean into what is meant to be a trauma for us. People say things to us to project their own insecurities onto us. And we take that as how we live in our lives. And so you could have said, oh, I'm a chatterbox. Let me shut up. You could have done that, but you said, wait a minute, hold on. Nope. I don't care what you say. I'm going to take that term and make it great. And I'm going to use that as my superpower. Right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah. Labels can become your superpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you use the appreciative intelligence to find the strength, appreciative intelligence becomes your superpower and becomes a habit.
Yeah. So maybe the question inside of this whole rewrite section is, what is your superpower? How can you speak to people through your superpower? What is the conversation that you can have with people through your superpower, which ultimately is your story, as you're talking about storytelling?
Yes. That is a perfect summation. I absolutely love it. Thank you. That was a perfect summary.
I wanted to make sure that they got that because that tidbit was juicy, and I wanted to make sure everybody got the different layers inside of it. Man, sometimes when we're saying stuff and we're saying gold nuggets, we don't always know how it's landing or the value of it. So I really wanted to pick those things out. So talk to us about the redesign piece of this now. So you've gone through Reframe, you've talked about how to rewrite, and now you have a certain understanding. How do you redesign?
So this gets kind of fun too. If I may have the slides back up.
Yep.
As you have rewritten your perception, as you recognize that you can use your label that formerly was unpleasant as a superpower and you've leaned into your own strengths, you can redesign your approach to your video by leaning into other people's strengths.
Mm.
You don't have to be perfect at everything. You don't have to be the most amazing video producer, editor, animator, music creator, teleprompt script writer. You don't have to be, because you bring your strength and you allow other people to bring their strength to you. This is how the value appreciates for everybody involved. You can go to somebody else who does editing well. You can go to somebody else to post your videos for you. You can use your children or your teenagers. Maybe you want to use other people's strengths to learn how to make them your own. That's okay too. Find a mentor. Determine, do you need an audience, a physical audience in the room? Can you use somebody else's audience? How can you grow like this? All of these things I've listed here, so many other strengths in video creation that we can, maybe you have them all, maybe you don't. It's okay, because you can use your strengths to redesign your future videos and even your current videos to create the impact that you want to create, to produce the influence that you want to bring to the world. And as we've talked about, you can use Big View's strengths. You can use the Big View teleprompter. You can use the automatic subtitles. I love that you can put different backgrounds to emphasize different words on Big View. Big View makes it easy for the script writing, for the editing. So you don't have to be the most amazing at all of this. Use what other people have created and lean into it so that the redesign becomes a synergistic growth where the value appreciates. You're taking the small things, leaning into them, and making them large. Some people describe appreciative intelligence as seeing the oak and the acorn. Again, it's not just an acorn. It's an oak tree in embryo. Your videos are not just 30 seconds, not just 5 minutes. They are influence and impact in embryo. It's an opportunity for you to get all of that out there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the idea of leaning into the strength of others, because as an entrepreneur myself, it's so tempting for us to either do it all ourselves because we feel like we have to, because maybe from a financial perspective, we are saying, oh my gosh, I can't afford to pay somebody to edit my videos or to post them, etc. So what advice do you have as you're talking about leaning into or using the strength of others? If we're in a space where we're building and we don't have the capital, the liquid cash or whatever to do some of those things, how can we still lean into the strength of others?
There are several different ways. First of all, as you recognize your strengths, you have something you can offer. You can create basically a joint venture with somebody and say, I do this well, I can help you. You do this well, you can help me. Right. How can we work together? You can find mentors. And there are mentors such as SCORE, the society, well, now I've forgotten, retired executives. Service Corps of Retired Executives. There we go. SCORE. Or the Small Business Development Center in your area, your local Chamber of Commerce. People who know people and are willing to make connections. Oh, you do this and you like this and you have this type of knowledge. Let me connect you with other people. Look at your existing network. Ask them, I want to help you. Are you willing to help me? Look at the other content that is out there. Look at the software that is out there. Find out, what can you do right now to start small? Are you going to start with your white wall background? That's fine. Start there and learn from people around you, whether it's through observation or directly contacting them. And as you get to a point that you have the liquid capital, then you can start investing. And you can even, one of the things that I did early on was go to my local college and find their students who are preparing to graduate and take them on as interns. Many colleges have stipend opportunities for interns, that the college has a grant that they can pay your intern, and you can have the intern for free. So basically, and you teach the intern about your business and what you're doing, and the intern lends his or her strengths to what you need.
Yeah.
And again, you can build on each other. So there are many, many ways to lean in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I wanted to turn back to the idea of comparison. So you talked about comparing yourself to yourself.
Right.
Why did I
Because
do
I
that?
didn't have permission to compare myself to anybody else. So I compared myself to
Right. Yeah. And you also talked about comparing ourselves to Robert or other people that you see on screen. And you really kind of, the idea that you were bringing out was utilizing that as an empowerment tool, as we said
Mhm.
in the title of this here. So as we start to land the plane here a little bit, what other advice do you have as we think about moving further into video content creation and that idea of comparison? What other things do you have to share with us around that?
Thank you. Please remember that as you compare, you can find your own amazingness.
Mhm.
You can find yourself in the people you admire, because like does attract like. And as you are looking at the people that you admire, you can find how you and they are similar.
Mhm.
You also can find what makes you different that you get to bring to the world.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun to compare yourself when you're looking for similarities than to compare yourself when you're looking for, I'm not as good as. And when you can find what lights you up about that person as you're looking at the video and saying, ah, I do that too, I can do that, it allows you to be your authentic self on video. It
Mhm.
allows you to be your authentic self everywhere. And it allows you to be able to say, oh, this person inspired me, which
Yeah.
is yet another way to support the other people.
Yeah.
It it empowers you to be you.
Yeah. I love it. I think one of the things that uh, I've personally walked through and maybe still walk through it some days. I will see somebody speaking online. I'll see somebody doing a live stream or a video, and I'll recognize in what they're sharing something that I thought about or some idea
Mhm,
that I had a long time ago, but I chose not to speak about it.
mhm.
And people are watching them, and you see the numbers of people watching them online, and you begin to beat yourself up saying, Why didn't I share that? And I think as we live inside of our own bubbles, our own world, we often think that we don't have anything of consequence or anything groundbreaking to share. So we don't share it. How do you personally, Dr. Catherine, handle when you don't think that your message is new enough, fresh enough, bold enough, attention getting or grabbing enough? How do you mentally manage that?
I mentally manage it by reminding myself, what would I say to a dear friend who comes to
Mhm.
me and says, I just don't have anything new. Now, I have a dear friend. She and I play this role for each other regularly.
Mhm.
So I will think to myself, Mama Red has been this expert for years upon years, and she happens to talk about repurposing. So she talks about repurposing video, repurposing blog posts, repurposing anything and everything in more ways than you can imagine. And if ever she comes to me and says, ugh, it seems like everybody's doing it now. In
Yeah.
her case, I get to say, yes, but you were first in many ways. And the way you do it is different. The
Yeah.
way that it comes so naturally to you, things fall off of your tongue.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I start to look and think, ugh, I still don't have anything new to share, I picture myself talking to Mama Red. Well, what would Mama Red say to me?
Mhm.
And she would say to me, girl, you are amazing. The
Yeah.
way that you talk about people's strengths is the way I talk about repurposing. It just comes out of you. You see it. You don't have to think about it. You are you on purpose. And
Yeah.
it reminds me that even though it might sound the same to some people, or especially to me, because it's my angle, because
Mhm.
it's my experiences, it's different. In fact, I have a coach that says many of the same things I've heard from other coaches. And I told him, Mike, it's so interesting that I've heard what you're saying from so many people, yet when you say it, it strikes me differently.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it. That's the difference. It's not that the content itself is necessarily earth shattering, it's what you bring to the content that is earth
Yeah.
shattering. It's you that somebody is going to connect with. It's it's not, oh, appreciative intelligence is this amazing thing. It's, did you know that you can use appreciative intelligence to empower yourself by
Yeah.
looking at people and saying, instead of saying, oh, I'm not so great, say, oh, wow, look, I can see my strengths. And all of a sudden, comparison is empowering.
Yeah.
It's it's a different approach because it's you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fantastic, Dr. Catherine. You've got this exciting giveaway. I want to talk to folk about that before we leave here. Tell us a little bit about what the giveaway is and what we need to do to access this fantastic gift from you.
The giveaway is a PDF worksheet for you that you can use over and over and over again to help you discover your own strengths so that you can apply those strengths in everything, in your video making, in your written content creation, in how you show up for yourself, in how you
Mhm.
show up for other people. It will help you to compare yourself not only to the people around you, but to your own perception of yourself
Yeah.
and how other people perceive you. And comparison is going to empower you to lean into those strengths and appreciate the value that you bring.
Wow, this has been fantastic. So good. I want to encourage everybody, if you are struggling with comparison, if you're struggling with hiding in plain sight and keeping your content to yourself because you're not sure that you have anything amazing or groundbreaking to say, I want to encourage you to rewind this podcast, rewind this episode, this show, and go through this again, because as Dr. Catherine has shared, there is greatness inside of you. You are you on purpose. And I love that phrasing. I love that she said that. So if you want to get connected with her, learn more by going to bookwithdrcatherine.com and check her company out. Go to profitablealignment.com, especially if you're in the corporate space and want to know a little bit more about how to rock and roll as a leader and be the best you, be the best leader that you can be. All right. So Dr. Catherine, anything you want to say to wrap us up or send us out? Any last words of wisdom?
First of all, I wanted to say thank you. You are an amazing and wonderful host. Second of all, I want to tell all leaders that you can become the leader you would follow by applying appreciative intelligence. And all of you others who don't have a leadership title, you still can become the leader you would follow. You can compare yourself to who you want to be and find the granules of who you already are in order to build on that to become the leader you would follow.
I love it. I love it. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another awesome, amazing episode or session with Big View, another Big View educational session. I think I need to get the title of this thing right. That would be great, right? Dr. Catherine, it's been fantastic hanging out with you. Everybody, thank you for joining us. I'll see you in another Big View session upcoming soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Storytellers, thanks for joining me on the session. I'm so pumped that we were connected, and I hope you found real value in what was shared. Do me a favor. I want to continue the journey with you. Head on over to getintouchwithrk3.com. That's right, getintouchwithrk3.com. On that page, you'll find all of the different places on the interwebs that you can get connected with me. And there are also some great resources for you to download. Download them because they're designed to help you become better presenters, better communicators, and video storytellers. And that's what we need more of in this world, right? Listen, get connected. Go to getintouchwithrk3.com. I'm RK3, and I hope to see you in my inbox real soon.
Teleprompter, create videos you're proud of. Easily trim your video by selecting the words where you want to start and end. Color your presentation with automatic subtitles and highlighting keywords. Add your brand logo. Add music for an emotional touch. Add your contact info on an animated business card on all your videos. Easily replace green screen with an image or a video loop. Stand out with a web page with your logo, your video at the center, and personalized button for visitors to interact. It's one tap to simultaneously upload your videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Always know what to say next with the Big View teleprompter.